It's not too late. Santa has not come yet. We are just in time to get in our Habs holiday wish list. With Christmas just around the corner coming up in a few days, I thought it might be a perfect time to take a sneak peek at what might be on the Montreal Canadiens wish list this year. So I've come up with 5 must-have gifts for Santa Claus to bring to the Montreal Canadiens this year. First up, what's the thing that we write in all of our Christmas cards wishing you a good holiday and good health coming up in the new year? And that's what I think should be at the top of the Canadiens wish list this year, good health. And that's kind of a twofold wish for them, both in terms of let's see the guys who are out with injury right now get healthy again as soon as possible and back in the lineup, and let's then keep the rest of the lineup healthy for the rest of the season. Not only will it help development, not only will it help the younger players on the team, not only will it help the team chemistry in general, it might also go a long way towards helping come trade deadline time. And I think by now, enough is enough with the injuries year after year for the Habs. Am I right? My second item on the Habs holiday wish list is an extended NHL visit for Jayden Struble. Young Jayden Struble, when he came to Laval last season, showed some really good flashes of what kind of defenseman he could be. And he came into camp this year, had a strong camp, and has had an excellent start to the season in Laval. It is why he earned the call-up just a few weeks ago. And as we've seen, he has melded right into the NHL lineup. He looks comfortable in the NHL. He looks confident. He plays with grit, but also with skill. He is very mindful defensively. He's got a bit of an offensive touch as well. My hope is that while, yes, I do believe Jayden Struble has some things to continue to develop in his game, I'd like to see him get a little bit of an extended stay in the NHL just to see what his ceiling is right now. Speaking of call-ups, number 3 on my holiday wish list for the Montreal Canadiens is get Emil Heineman into the lineup. Now, I know that means probably making someone else a healthy scratch, but you could probably pull someone like Michael Pezzetta out of the lineup in order to make room and shuffle the forwards around a bit to get Emil Heineman a spot in the roster and get him some games. We saw last year some promise of perhaps what was to come with this prospect, and before his injury in Laval this season, he kind of picked up right where he left off, and since coming back from injury, he had already shown the strength of his game, and I'd like to see at least a little bit of a small sample of what he can do right now in the NHL to determine if more work needs to be done in the AHL or if he is ready to take on a larger role in the National Hockey League. Number 4 on my Santa list for the Canadiens is for Mr. Cole Caulfield and Mr. Nick Suzuki. I'm hoping Santa brings them their scoring touch back at Christmas this year. It was nice to see Cole Caulfield finally pot a goal after a 7-game goalless streak, but that's just one. He did not score then in the next game, which was Monday night's game against the Winnipeg Jets. And we haven't seen Suzuki look like Nick Suzuki and the offensive production he can bring in a while either. And if these two could put those pieces together individually and as 2/3 of that top line, we could see some really magical things happen. And so I'm hoping that Santa brings them their scoring touch back this Christmas. And speaking of Cole Caulfield and his slump, there could be a lot of reasons behind what was causing and what has caused him to not really be the same Cole Caulfield we saw in the first half of last season. And on this past week's Canadiens Connection podcast, Rick and Michael took a closer look at what could be some of the potential causes of Cole Caulfield's lack of production this year. If you didn't catch that episode, you can check that out right here. Finally, coming in at number 5 on my Habs holiday wish list, actually doesn't happen till after the season is over. I wish for the Montreal Canadiens to get another good position in the first round of the 2024 NHL draft. It'll be the last draft held with everyone gathered together before they kind of take it to a decentralized draft. But more importantly, the Canadiens have been in the top 5 and even number 1 overall in the last 2 years, but they don't have that generational player like a Connor Bedard. Will there be one available in 2024 in the top of the draft? Obviously not more Connor Bedard material, but I think worst case scenario would be for the Canadiens to drop all the way down to the middle of the pack and be picking somewhere between 12 and 15, 16, 17 in the draft. To really continue the rebuild, get one more really dynamic piece of the puzzle, they need to go after that skill power forward that they haven't picked up these past 2 drafts. And so to do that, I think they need to be in the top 10. Even in the top 5 would be great. Now, I'm not asking for a tank, but I would like to see them end up with a decent first-round draft selection this summer. So what about you? What do you wish that Santa Claus would bring to the Montreal Canadiens during the holiday break this year? Drop a comment down below. Let us know. Would love to hear from you. And on my wish list, I'm wishing that you would tap the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. It would really help us out here on the channel. We want you to come back for all of our content that we have each and every week, including our brand new watch-along live game streams that we are doing here on the channel. If you've missed that, be sure that you check out our live tab and check out a replay to see what you've been missing. Speaking of things that you might have missed, did you hear the news that there's a new goaltender in Laval, playing with the Laval Rocket in the AHL? Oh, yes, there is. And on this week's episode of Rocket Hockey Report, special guest Patrick Williams joined me, and we broke down who this new goaltender is and why he needed to be brought in. If you missed that, you can watch that video right here. Merry Christmas to you, and I'll see you next time.